Students, in the previous session, we had discussed about one of the topics in the chapter of molecular basis of inheritance, and that was regarding what the Human Genome Project and the salient features of the human genome, right? And also we have learnt a few concepts like repetitive sequences. We have understood what is repetitive sequences, and I think we have also used the simple terms like the satellite DNA or the satellite chromosomes, and also the single nucleotide polymorphism. We have used the term polymorphism and also the single nucleotide polymorphism. All these terms we have used, and in today's session we are going to learn one of the important applications of the Human Genome Project. That means the data that was retrieved from the largest project ever, that is called Human Genome Project, that could be effectively utilized for various purposes. And that one of the important applications of that regarding this is DNA fingerprinting technique, right? See here, what is DNA fingerprinting? What is the meaning of DNA fingerprint? You know, our fingerprints, right? So, you know, when you go to any government office now or any security reasons, even on the mobile phones also, we have got fingerprint locks. Yes, and in the Aadhaar card, if you have noticed, they will take the fingerprints. Why is this so? It is just because the fingerprints are all different. So my fingerprint is different from your fingerprint is different from that of your friend's fingerprint. So no human beings will have the same fingerprint from with each other. That means the fingerprints ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆನೇ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Similarly, DNA fingerprint ಅಂತ ಏನು ಕರೀತೇವೆ, that is also different from one person to another person. So we can also identify an individual person in the entire world specifically by making use of this particular technique. And that technique is called as DNA fingerprinting. Let us understand more about what exactly is DNA fingerprinting technique. See here, what we do, I had told you in the previous session, we human beings, all the Homo sapiens share 99.9% of our DNA same, right? So we have got the same DNA, that is 99.9% of our DNA is same. Just 0.1% will be different with respect to our DNA. So that means, so I am different, just I am talking genetically. So my genome is different from the other person's genome just by 0.1%. Similarly, we are all different genetically just by 0.1%. And that 0.1% difference is mainly because of those sequences which are repetitive in our DNA. ನಾವೇನು repetitive DNA sequences ಅಂತ ಕರೀತೇವೆ, where a particular nitrogen base or maybe a particular sequence of the nitrogen base, maybe a short segment of the nitrogen base or maybe a longer segment, that is repeated a number of times. Okay, so ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದೇ ನೈಟ್ರೋಜನ್ ಬೇಸ್ ರಿಪೀಟ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ that is called single nucleotide polymorphism ಅಂತ ಕರೀತೇವೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? Or sometimes a set of nucleotides, a set of nitrogen bases is repeated many times, that is called tandem repeats ಅಂತ ಕರೀತೇವೆ. It is called tandem, TANDEM, tandem repeats. ಒಂದೇ ನೈಟ್ರೋಜನ್ ಬೇಸ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಸಿಂಗಲ್ ನ್ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಯೋಟೈಡ್ ಪಾಲಿಮಾರ್ಫಿಸಮ್. ಸೊ ಪಾಲಿಮಾರ್ಫಿಸಮ್ ಇಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ ವಾಟ್? ರಿಪಿಟೇಟಿವ್ ಸೀಕ್ವೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ DNA. If it is having a segment of the DNA with a set of nitrogen bases, it is called as tandem repeats ಅಂತ ಕರೀತೇವೆ. Right? So these tandem repeats or single nucleotide polymorphism, basically polymorphism or repetitive sequences or satellite DNA will form the basis of these differences, that is the 0.1 difference with respect to the genome of individuals of human beings. Okay, ಅಂದ್ರೆ basically ನಮ್ಮ 0.1% genome difference ಏನಿದೆ, it is mainly because of these repetitive DNA sequences. Okay, so by considering those, by taking or extracting those repetitive DNA sequences and by analyzing the data, we can have the differences among the individuals, and that is what is called as what? DNA fingerprinting technique. But how do we do that? What is the procedure involved? For that we need to understand more about this one. See, the definition says DNA fingerprinting involves identifying differences in specific regions in DNA sequences called as repetitive DNA. That is what I mentioned now. Because in these sequences, a small stretch of the DNA is repeated many times. That is why it is called as what? Repetitive DNA anta kariteve. Yes. So these repetitive DNA sequences are separated from a genomic bulk. So ಅದನ್ನ ಹೇಗೆ ಸಪರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, the genome of entire one individual is taken, it will be mixed and it will be made into a solution, it will be subjected for gradient centrifugation technique. Do you remember this one? So while learning about one of the experimental proof for which one, the replication, that is Michelson-Stahls experiment kalibekadre, we have learnt about the gradient centrifugation technique using the cesium chloride solution. A similar procedure will be carried out here also, where entire bulk of the DNA will be taken and it will be subjected for gradient centrifugation technique, and then when we make the analysis of that particular gradient centrifugation technique result, then we will get certain small peaks. Okay, and those small peaks refer, or they will indicate the presence of the satellite DNA, which is nothing but the repetitive DNA. Okay, so ali bulk DNA forms major what peak, and smaller peaks are formed because of that satellite DNA or the repetitive DNA. So again, this repetitive DNA, which is also called as the satellite DNA, will be bifurcated, will be classified further into different types like microsatellite, mini satellite, and then now classify ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ based on what? Based on the base composition, whether it is AT rich or it is GC rich. And also considering the fact of length of the segment, how lengthy is the segment, and number of repetitive units eshtiде, and also the satellite DNA, that is whether it is a single nucleotide polymorphism is there or a complete tandem repeat is there. So what kind of repetitive units are there? So considering all these facts, we further classify them into microsatellites and mini satellites, right? So these sequences normally do not code for any protein, they do not have any function, they do not express any characteristics, but still these are the key sequences which help us to identify the differences among the genomes of two individuals, right? Then when we these sequences show high degree of polymorphism. Polymorphism andre helide nanu, that is a variation at the genetic level. Polymorphism, poly stands for many, morphism means differences, morpho stands for what? Morphological structure. Polymorphism means what? Different structures or different features anta helteve. So that is the meaning of polymorphism. So polymorphism at the genetic level means what? The differences with respect to the genetic level or genetic material, that is what is called as polymorphism. So that shows, these satellites will show high degree of polymorphism and form the basis of DNA fingerprinting. So polymorphism is also inheritable. That is one more significance of the polymorphism, is if I have got some level of polymorphism, andre certain repetitive sequences are there in my body, my next generation will also have the same kind of what? Polymorphism, because polymorphism is inherited. So you can see these repeats here. This is the example of tandem repeat. So in the previous session I have told you about the single nucleotide polymorphism, and here we are seeing, see, GATA, 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 this sequence, right? This is a short fragment of the DNA with 4 nitrogen bases is repeated a number of times. How many? 8 repeats, and this repetition is called as tandem repeat anta kariteve. Right? So this is genome 1, this is genome 2, this is genome 3, right? So in genome 1 and 2 it is repeated how many times? 8 times. In the genome 3 it is repeated 9 repeats are there, right? So like that, this is what is called as tandem repeat. Now see, I told you that polymorphism is inheritable. In simple terms we can define polymorphisms as, it's an inheritable mutation that is observed in a population at high frequency. Okay, it is an inheritable mutation, that is change in the genetic material which can be transferred from one generation to another generation and in a population at high frequency. That is what is referred to as DNA polymorphism. I hope you are following what I am telling you. Okay, now the technique of DNA fingerprinting was first time given by Alec Jeffreys. Alec Jeffreys. So remember the name of the scientist who for the first time elucidated or explained and discovered the concept or procedure of DNA fingerprinting. The name is Alec Jeffreys, right? So of course he used the satellite DNA as probe. Probe means what? DNA probe anta helidre, we make use of certain small DNA fragments which are radio labeled. Okay, so satellite probe anta helidre, satellite DNA as probe anta helidre, ಈ satellite DNA ಯಾವ್ದು ಇರಬಹುದು ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಅಂದಾಜಿರುತ್ತೆ ನಮಗೆ. ಸೊ ರಿಪೀಟೆಡ್ ಸೀಕ್ವೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಯಾವ್ದು ಇರಬಹುದು ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಅಂದಾಜಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟರಿ ಆಗಿರುವಂತಹ ಸರ್ಟನ್ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಫ್ರಾಗ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ನಾವು we make them in the laboratory condition, right? So we synthetically produce them and we put them in the system so that our satellite DNA ಅಥವಾ repeated DNA sequences ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, complementary DNA ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗ they will pair up. Okay, and such paired sequences can be separated easily because they are radioactive sequences, because they are radio labeled. So that technique was used here, and here variable number of tandem repeats. Andre in the previous diagram we had seen, this is what 8 number of repeats are there, 8 tandem repeats ide, ಇಲ್ಲಿ 9 ಇದೆ, ಮತ್ತೊಂದರಲ್ಲಿ 10 ಇರಬಹುದು, ಇನ್ನೊಂದರಲ್ಲಿ 15 ಇರಬಹುದು, ಇನ್ನೊಂದರಲ್ಲಿ 12 ಇರಬಹುದು. So this is what is called variable number of tandem repeats, and that was another thing that was used with respect to the polymorphism, right? So ಇಲ್ಲಿ satellite DNA probes ಅನ್ನು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ one more technique he included, what was that is the variable number of tandem repeats, which is also called as VNTR. Remember the full form of this one, it can be an important one mark question. So this technique, the technique as used earlier, involves southern blot hybridization using a radio labeled VNTR. Andre ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, we cut the fragments of the DNA into smaller pieces, and then of course we subject them for separation. There is a technique called agarose gel electrophoresis. Okay, so ಒಂದು ಜೆಲ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದು ಟ್ರೇ ಇದ್ದ ಹಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಅದರ ಮೇಲೆ ನಾವು ಹಾಕಿ DNA fragments ಅನ್ನ and we connect it to the electricity. And you know that DNA is a negatively charged molecule, yes or no? So definitely the small fragments of the DNA will tend to move towards the positive end. Okay, so positive end move ಆಗ್ತಿರ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ they move towards that positive charged end based on their mass. So those fragments of the DNA or those pieces of the DNA which have got bulky mass or a heavier mass, they cannot move forward. Which are the ones which are with light mass, they will move faster than the others, right? And it makes a pattern, right? So I'm going to show you that in the next picture. So when it makes a pattern, adana navu ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, we are going to blot it on a nylon sheet or nitrocellulose sheet. ಈ ಬ್ಲಾಟಿಂಗ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕ್ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, that is what is called southern blotting technique, making use of the VNTR as the probe. VNTR ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಏನು ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಿದೆ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ VNTR ಪ್ರೋಬ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು southern blotting technique ನಿಂದ ನಾವು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, he carried out the DNA fingerprinting technique for the first time. That means there are other blotting techniques also, northern blotting anta kuda ide ondu, but here he for the first time used southern blotting technique, which is the most commonly and most abundantly used technique here. And VNTR anta helidre, it belongs to a class of satellite DNA which we already know, referred to as a mini satellite. I had told you there are two different types of satellites. One is mini satellite and other is macro satellite. VNTR is a mini satellite type, and size of the VNTR may be from 0.1 to 20 kb. Okay, so kilobase. KB stands for kilobase, 0.1 to 20 kb. So consequently, after hybridization with VNTR probe, the autoradiogram gives many bands differing in size. These bands give a characteristic pattern for individual DNA. See, in order to understand this, you have to watch this. What is this? Steps involved here. Nodi, illi you know the steps involved here. That is the isolation of DNA. DNA, that is the VNTR ಇರುವಂತದ್ದು ಅಥವಾ what is that repeated DNA sequences ಇರುವಂತದ್ದು ಅಥವಾ satellites ಇರುವಂತದ್ದು DNA ನಾವು ತಗೊಳ್ಬೇಕು, and you can take this DNA from any part of the body, from any cell of the body of an individual. From my body, if you have to take the DNA, so you don't have to take the entire DNA from my body, right? So then every cell ಇಂದ ತಗೊಳ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತಲ್ಲ, any one cell, maybe from the hair, maybe from the nail, maybe from the skin, maybe from the any part of the plant body of the human being you can take, or for the plant body for that matter. So ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಸೆಲ್ ನಿಂದ ನಾವು ತಗೊಂಡ್ರು ಕೂಡ the same type of VNTR will be there, same type of repetitive DNA sequences will be there, and that is why that DNA will be isolated. Even from the blood cells also we can isolate. Then digestion of DNA by restriction endonuclease. So our DNA isolate ಮಾಡಿದ್ದನ್ನ ನಾವು we have to digest it and we have to make it into a solution, right? By using the enzyme called restriction endonucleases, which can cut the DNA fragments into smaller pieces. Then separation of DNA fragments by electrophoresis. That is what I told you. Gel electrophoresis anta kariteve. There will be a sheet, or you can say a tray, in which there will be a gel made up of agar or agarose, and on that we can run the DNA based on the charge and mass ratio, and we can separate the fragments of the DNA, and then transferring those smaller fragments which are separated, okay, ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ರೀತಿ ಸಪರೇಟ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಅದನ್ನ ಬ್ಲಾಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ we can transfer it to a synthetic membrane such as a nylon membrane or nitrocellulose membrane. nylon paper ಅಂತ ಕರೀತೇವೆ, ಅಥವಾ nitrocellulose paper ಅಂತ ಕರೀತೇವೆ, ಅಥವಾ membrane ಅಂತ ಕೂಡ ಕರೀಬಹುದು. Then hybridization using a labeled VNTR probe. Iga we are going to use the VNTR probe, which is a radio labeled. We are making use of that, and then with the help of that hybridization, detection of hybridized DNA fragments by autoradiography. So X-ray sheet na mele ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನ ಮತ್ತೆ blot ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು under UV light it can be visible as different fragments or different patterns of the what patches will be formed. See the same what is that steps involved or the procedure we are going to see in this particular picture here. See, blood sample na tagondidare. As I had told you, you can take any sample, you can take any cell from which the DNA can be extracted, right? Now the DNA has been extracted from the blood cells, and now DNA is subjected to what is fragmentation by using the restriction enzyme. That is the digestion of the DNA that is extracted by using the restriction endonucleases, and then it is that will be subjected for agarose gel electrophoresis. Nodi illi DNA has been put here into these wells, and because of the electrification or charge applied here, illiruvanತಹ small DNA fragments nodi illi run agide, and these are all the small fragments in kanta ide namage. They are the DNA fragments, the small pieces of the DNA separated there. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಪ್ಯಾಟರ್ನ್ ಬಂತು, ಆ ಪ್ಯಾಟರ್ನ್ ಅನ್ನು ನಾವು ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಒಂದು ನೈಟ್ರೋಸೆಲ್ಯುಲೋಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ನೈಲಾನ್ ಪೇಪರ್, ಸಿಂಥೆಟಿಕ್ ಪೇಪರ್ ನ ಮೇಲೆ ಹೀಗೆ ಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ನೋಡಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಇದನ್ನು ತಗೊಳ್ತೇವೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಿರುವಂತಹ ಬ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಪ್ಯಾಟರ್ನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಬ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ DNA will be taken on the nitrocellulose paper, and that will be utilized for hybridization with the VNTR probe. VNTR probe ಅನ್ನು ತಗೊಳ್ತೇವೆ. ನೋಡಿ, see, this is the radioactive DNA probe which is synthetically produced in the laboratory, and that is utilized here for the hybridization purpose. So extra irodana probe anna ನಾವು remove ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ, and then so when we provide the probe, there will be pairing with the complementary sequences that which are in the form of the probe, and then that forms what a pattern here. You are seeing a pattern here. See, this pattern is what is actually called as DNA fingerprint. X-ray film ಮೇಲೆ ಇದನ್ನು ತಗೊಳ್ತೇವೆ. It can be observed under the UV light. This pattern is different for each individual. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು DNA fingerprint ಅಂತ ಕರೀತೇವೆ. Okay, so this technique is called as DNA fingerprinting technique, and this is what is called as DNA fingerprint, with which we can differentiate, we can identify any individual person specifically. So what is the use of this one? ನಾವು ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕಲಿ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಐಡೆಂಟಿಟಿ ಬೇಕಲ್ವಾ ನಮಗೆ, right? So that is why we do that, and there are many applications to this also. Let us look at the applications of the DNA fingerprinting here. It can be used in crime detection, like maybe a robbery may be there, or a murder may be there, maybe a rape case may be there. So the cells, ಸಣ್ಣ ಒಂದು ಕೂದಲು ಕೂಡ ಇದ್ರೂ ಕೂಡ, or any small cell of the body of the person who has done this, the culprit, so ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಒಂದು ಸೆಲ್ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ DNA ನ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ಆಲ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಸ್, ಅಂಡ್ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಗೆಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪ್ಯಾಟರ್ನ್. ಒಂದ್ಸಲ ಈ ಪ್ಯಾಟರ್ನ್ ಸಿಕ್ತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಈಸಿಲಿ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ who is the person who is the culprit there, who the person who is the culprit can be identified. That is a crime detection. Similarly, it can be used for disputes arising from baby switching in hospitals. Sometimes, usually nowadays it is not too much here, but if you go back to some 10, 20 years or 50 years back, there was so much baby switching, mainly because of the gender-based inequality. In India also, people believed what boy child is a fortune to the family, girl child is a misfortune to the family, and because of that, if a girl child is born, so people used to bribe the doctors or the nurses there, and by bribing them, so other babies who are born to the other people, if it is a baby boy, then it can be switched. Or maybe a baby born with some deformity can be switched over. Because the mother is anyway, she's unconscious, so by paying something, bribing some money, this could be done, and such disputes can be easily solved because, as I had told you, these VNTRs or satellites or repetitive DNA sequences will be the same as in the case of the parent. ಆ ಮಗುವಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ parent same ಇರುತ್ತೆ because these are inheritable. This polymorphism is inherited, right? So we can identify that. Then immigration cases, disputes in family. So immigration cases means whenever we go abroad, or sometimes whenever somebody comes to this country from abroad, and mainly because of what is that, passport visa problems, and also ಮೂಲವಾಗಿ ಆ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಇವನು ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಕಂಡುಹಿಡಿಯಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗದೇ ಇದ್ದಾಗ, we can trace it back to the his origin by looking at his DNA, so that his parents can be identified, and their locality can be identified, and then their citizenship can be identified. Then also disputes in the family means especially property related disputes. Somebody who is living in foreign country, all of a sudden the death happens of a particular man here, and somebody comes saying that I am his son, all the property should belong to me. What is the proof? There is no other proof. Then what can be done? DNA fingerprinting can be done, so that it can be compared with the dead man with the other man who is claiming it, right? Gene mutation identities. So definitely mutation identities now ಕಂಡುಹಿಡಿಯಬಹುದು. ಯಾಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ from one generation to another generation, what difference is there in the repeated sequences? If it is controlled for many generations, right? If a complete family has been subjected for this controlled experiment, then mutations can be traced and identified, and also the genetic disorders can be identified, and the appropriate treatment for these genetic disorders can also be given with the help of this one. These are all the applications of DNA fingerprinting, right? So this can be an important 5-mark question here, DNA fingerprinting, and so by this we have completed with this chapter. Thank you. And so immediately after this one, so my lecture ends here, but after this I will link a small video, a small graphic video of showing the transcription and translation along with this video now. So you also watch that small video of around 6 minutes, right? So thank you. And as I have already told you, this is a very important chapter. Around 15 to 20 marks can come from this chapter alone. Okay, be aware, prepare well, and if you don't understand anything, you can ask me anytime. Okay, thank you.
In order for our bodies to function, we need to supply them with a variety of nutrients we get from our diet. Our bodies cannot use the food as it is when it enters our digestive system. The process of chemical digestion uses different proteins and enzymes to break down the food particles into usable nutrients our cells can absorb. And where are the instructions to manufacture these and all the different types of proteins we need to stay alive? The instructions to make proteins are contained in our DNA. DNA contains genes. A gene is a continuous string of nucleotides containing a region that codes for an RNA molecule. This region begins with a promoter and ends in a terminator. Genes also contain regulatory sequences that can be found near the promoter or at a more distant location. For some genes, the encoded RNA is used to synthesize a protein in a process called gene expression. For these genes, expression can be divided into 2 processes, transcription and translation. In eukaryotic cells, transcription occurs in the nucleus, where DNA is used as a template to make messenger RNA. Then in translation, which occurs in the cytoplasm of the cell, the information contained in the messenger RNA is used to make a polypeptide. During transcription, the DNA in the gene is used as a template to make a messenger RNA strand with the help of the enzyme RNA polymerase. This process occurs in 3 stages: initiation, elongation, and termination. During initiation, the promoter region of the gene functions as a recognition site for RNA polymerase to bind. This is where the majority of gene expression is controlled, by either permitting or blocking access to this site by the RNA polymerase. Binding causes the DNA double helix to unwind and open. Then during elongation, the RNA polymerase slides along the template DNA strand. As the complementary bases pair up, the RNA polymerase links nucleotides to the 3' end of the growing RNA molecule. Once the RNA polymerase reaches the terminator portion of the gene, the messenger RNA transcript is complete, and the RNA polymerase, the DNA strand, and the messenger RNA transcript dissociate from each other. The strand of messenger RNA that is made during transcription includes regions called exons that code for a protein, and non-coding sections called introns. In order for the messenger RNA to be used in translation, the non-coding introns need to be removed, and modifications such as a 5' cap and a 3' poly A tail are added. This process is called intron splicing and is performed by a complex made up of proteins and RNA called a spliceosome. This complex removes the intron segments and joins the adjacent exons to produce a mature messenger RNA strand that can leave the nucleus through a nuclear pore and enter the cytoplasm to begin translation. How is the information in the mature messenger RNA strand translated into a protein? The nitrogenous bases are grouped into 3 letter codes called codons. The genetic code includes 64 codons. Most codons code for specific amino acids. There are 4 special codons, 1 that codes for start and 3 that code for stop. Translation begins with the messenger RNA strand binding to the small ribosomal subunit upstream of the start codon. Each amino acid is brought to the ribosome by a specific transfer RNA molecule. The type of amino acid is determined by the anticodon sequence of the transfer RNA. Complementary base pairing occurs between the codon of the messenger RNA and the anticodon of the transfer RNA. After the initiator transfer RNA molecule binds to the start codon, the large ribosomal subunit binds to form the translation complex, and initiation is complete. In the large ribosomal subunit, there are 3 distinct regions called the E, P, and A sites. During elongation, individual amino acids are brought to the messenger RNA strand by a transfer RNA molecule through complementary base pairing of the codons and anticodons. Each anticodon of a transfer RNA molecule corresponds to a particular amino acid. A charged transfer RNA molecule binds to the A site, and a peptide bond forms between its amino acid and the one attached to the transfer RNA molecule at the P site. The complex slides down 1 codon to the right, where the now uncharged transfer RNA molecule exits from the E site, and the A site is open to accept the next transfer RNA molecule. Elongation will continue until a stop codon is reached. A release factor binds to the A site at a stop codon, and the polypeptide is released from the transfer RNA in the P site. The entire complex dissociates and can reassemble to begin the process again at initiation. The purpose of translation is to produce polypeptides quickly and accurately. After dissociation, the polypeptide may need to be modified before it is ready to function. Modifications take place in different organelles for different proteins. In order for a digestive enzyme to be secreted into the stomach or intestines, the polypeptide is translated into the endoplasmic reticulum, modified as it passes through the Golgi, then secreted using a vesicle through the plasma membrane of the cell into the lumen of the digestive tract. Proteins are needed for most physiological functions of the body to occur properly, such as breaking down food particles in digestion, and the processes of transcription and translation make the production of proteins possible.